In continuation to the previous Ionic user interface components, we have done this before, correct? Right now, let us continue on how to develop a checkbox, how to add a checkbox as an user interface to our existing app. So for this, we are going to use the book code. The book code is number 7, correct? 0607 chapter 6, step number 7 or section number 7. In here, we are going to work on what is called app.component.ts. So let me open up the Notepad++. This is app.component.ts. Also, I'm going to use app.component.html. Remember app.component, these files are outside the pages. It is not inside. Under src, app, they are here. Okay. So let's open the same thing from our code right now. Is our project code. So you can see this is from our latest folder. So app.component.html and then app.component.ts. Okay, both are here. So let's scroll down. We are going to do the TS one. So here, what are you trying to do? You're going to create a checkbox, which could be checked or which could be enabled. And by toggling, you can do checking as well as unchecking it, right? So let's look at app.component.ts. This is the file here. So in this file, what are we going to do is basically we are using the same code, except we are going to use this. We are going to create a method called update settings. This is the method called update settings. Let's save this. See, is there any change in the code? Yeah, you have an error. Property setting does not exist on type app component, line number 40, right? So if I go down to the code, it says this thing, line number 40, this setting does not exist. So let's go back to the code, to the actual book code. If I select this, you could see this has been defined here. Okay. So you could design it above the constructor, below the constructor, does not matter. Okay, just done it here. So now going back to our code, there is no error here. So if I get like this, I just reload it. That's all. Right, just reload. And then now going back to the code again. So you have set up a variable called settings. It could be of any type, and you have initialized it to empty. And then you are saying update settings. This is a method. And console.log this .settings.notification. You're just going to display something on the console. That's all you're doing. Nothing much. Right. So how do you use it? How do you call this method? This is done using app.component.html. You're going to go here, app.component.html. In the app.component, you have the content here, right? So let's create a footer. The footer specifically for settings. So outside the content, ion.content, I'm going to put it here, right? So this is how it is. So when I'm going to save this and going back to the code here, I'm getting some error here. It is saying cannot bind ng model since it is not known. It's not a known property of Ionic checkbox. And if it is part of Angular component, then verify it is part of the module. If it is a web component, then add this. It's giving me some suggestions for me to proceed. Okay. So basically what happens is this is coming from what is called as ng model is coming from forms module, which has not been imported into our app. So let's do it now. Okay, going here. I want to import it to my whole app, not only to a specific page, which is done under app.module.ts file. This is the app.module.ts file. So let me open from the book one as well, app.module.ts. If you go here, you find there is what is called forms module. This is not here, so let's add it here. And this will not solve the problem. If I'm going to do this, still the problem exists, right? So you need to import it, plus you need to add it to the imports in the ng module. So you need to do it here. So comma forms module, I'm just going to copy this, go to the imports, to the end, You can put anywhere. I'm just copying it in the same order. So now the error is gone. So this is fine to use it. So what I have done here, basically I've added a settings here, and it says allow messages here. So let's go back to the code. Let's see how it works. This is my app module TS. Let's go to the component file, .html app.component. You have a setting. This is a footer. That's why it's on the bottom. The header is setting, and then it says allow messages, and then it's labeled the checkbox. It says settings.notifications. Okay. So if I change this, I click or stop or open, then automatically that should be a console message which is generated. Okay. So if I'm going to go here to the browser and go into inspect. So developer tools, more tools, developer tools. I can go to the console now, right? So in the console, if I'm going to go back to my settings, you see that settings have changed here. So let me close this, going back, enable this again, right? And if I'm going to show you what happens in the console right now, okay, so it is under developer tools. You can check there's a true here because I did enable it as true, so I can see it there, right? So this is just the console. It is only done to the console, nothing else. So what are happening here? What is that we are doing here? In the case of a checkbox, we have just added a checkbox into the HTML page of the app component. Accordingly, you have also used a method called update settings, which we are calling it here. On change, you call this guy. So when you call this method, it is just going to print in the console. That's it, nothing much. So the errors we have seen is mainly because we have not included the forms module. If you include the forms module, import it in the app.module.ts, as well as you also have to import it under ng module, then it is done. It's okay here. And there's something if you want to notice in here, there are two brackets here. See, there's a square bracket, there is also a normal bracket. The outer bracket, it means it is binding from source to view, and the inner bracket, it means from view to the source. So this is actually in Angular, we call it as two-way binding, okay? From source to the view as well as view to the source, both side binding, that is called two-way data binding. So this is being done here. So we have done what is called as a checkbox. Next one we are going to do is called chip. So this is done in the details page. So let's open up here. Let's go to 6, 8. So we go to the app. You go to pages, details. Let's open up the details.page.html. Okay. Similarly, we need to open our own page as well, which is here. Pages, details, and detail.page.html. So let's try to add the chip here. Okay. So I'm going to add the chip and then you will see the difference in them, right? Right now, let's see right now, if I go in here, select any one of them, select them, this is the details you have, right? So let's go here, open our code and the book code as well. So here you have, this is basically the code, which is your title, which is the header. You have until here, the description is here. Then here I'm going to add the chip. Please note that you are adding the chip inside the code content. Okay. So I'm just going to add it here, save it. So once you have done this, let's go back to our code. Okay, let's just reload. Go to the regions, go to this, go to the same thing. See now, there are some extra things added. These are nothing but chips. Chips basically, they have multiple things inside. It can have an avatar, it can have a text, it can have an icon. All this can be done. So to add it, you actually do it here using what is called Ion chip. Okay, this is called as Ion chip. And the Ion chip should be inside the Ion content because this is all inside the content here, right? So here what I am saying, it's a stopwatch. There's an icon, there's a label. Two things are added here. So let's try to understand the last one here. For example, it's an ion chip. Ion icon is a globe, so that's why you have a globe diagram here, or figure here. On the label, it is to price. There's a price. Then there is a euro symbol, and you have other language. Whatever is mentioned here, this is the label. Okay, and then the ion chip is complete. So there's one chip, there's a second one, there's a third one, there's a fourth one. So you find here 4 chips are added here. So this is basically you can add chip with some icon, with some label, text to your details page. Wherever you want you can add, but in this case we have done it in the details page. The next user interface we are going to do, let's say you are going to request a tool. Okay, if you go in here, you have request. So when you go to the request, instead of just coming up with a request, I want to have date and time picker. I want to have some timings which you want to enable. Okay, when you want to request it for a specific time. So let me go back to the book code now. Right, book code. It is in step number 9, SRC, and then app, and then go to pages, go to request. And then if you go here, I'm going to add on request.page.ts. This is the one. And we also want to check the request.page.ts in our own code. So pages, request.page.ts here. So we have got it here. There's nothing much in this code right now. So what are we going to do now? We need to add some request here. So let's come here, add these variables. These are 3 variables. The moment I add the variables, I get the error. It says here property data after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow has no initializer. It's not defined. So this is a similar error to the error we have seen before. Okay, similar error. Simply if I do this, this error should go off. Okay, let's do save. You see one error is gone. The second has to be removed as well. Now the errors are gone. Right, let's continue. We have not completed the code. So let me just copy paste this part of the code and init. And then you also want to send. Send is a separate method. Basically, you are just displaying it in the console again. So you have done this. Right now you have done, but you will not see any big changes here. So if I go here, I click this, I click any one of them, click on, and then say request, nothing happens because I did not modify the HTML page. So let's open the HTML as well, request.page.html. Similarly, we need to open the book page, book code as well, request.page.html. So in here, there is an item for doing this. Right? So here it is. Just copy this guy here, which is the data item. Actually, we don't need to redirect anything, so you can remove the redirect page. So let's go back to our entities, reload it, click on any one of them, just click on them, option, request. Okay, you have here the date picker. Okay, so you can pick the date, you can pick the time, you can work on, you can change the month, the year, all this could be done, right? So this is the idea. So what you might wonder why there is only some controls. You can control few things here, by the way. Okay. So let me just explain the code here. Basically, if you go to the TS page, we have added today's date, right? And then the starting date is day after tomorrow. Okay. So this is for 2 days, 24 hours a day, and so on and so forth. So we want to say 2 days from now, it is allowed. And the starting time, we fix it at 9 a.m. You cannot select times other than 9 a.m. I mean, before 9 a.m., for example. That is the starting time. And this is all converted to an ISO string, right? And then you want to set up an last date, which is 1 year from now, okay? And then you can see here, 365 days. And it finishes by 5 p.m. So 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So this is why there's a limit on the duration which you have. Okay. So if I go here, click options, go to request, and then I try to select, you see timing, it doesn't take me before 8. There's no 8, and it just prevents me from going from one time to another. Okay, so you can change and then you can work it out. You can test these things as well. Let's moving on. So you might wonder, if I go here, so I can choose the PM, right? Then I should be, I think there's some issue here. We need to check. So if I can keep going future dates, I can only go until 2024, nothing beyond that. So let's say I'm going to choose 2024, April, and I cannot go beyond this. Okay, so because it is just saying 1 year, right? So it doesn't allow, see, it's only until today, and it stops by 5 p.m. Nothing before. You cannot do beyond that. So starting from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., which is the last date. In the middle, you can use any date, any time, and so on. Okay, let's move on. So we have seen a date picker. We can add a date picker. Next one we are going to do is called floating action button. It's a kind of a button. You want to fix it. So let's do an example here. This is done under the details page. So let's go in to the code, the book code. This is step number 10. So let's go to 10 and then go app pages, details, and you're going to do it under details.ts page. Okay, let's go to details.ts page. Similarly, I need to open our own code. So pages, details, details.ts. So here, if you compare between them, you will find that is one extra entity. Here we have this, which is this method, which is not here already. So it's a separate method. So you go and copy it at the end. But nothing is happening right now because we are not calling this method. Okay. In here, if I select, this method should have been, it's been called somewhere. If not here, at least from the HTML page. So let's go here and check. Right. So here it is. There is a being called. So go back to our book page, our own code. So details page.html. Here we are going to copy this part here. Because right now, if you save the details.page.ts and go to the browser, you will see it says the parameter any app implicitly has any type. So details 107. So it goes here 107. There is an error here. So if you want to correct it, you just write like this, app : any. So the error is gone. Okay, the error is gone, but we have not yet called it, right? So let's go to the HTML, details.page.html. Let's go back here. So the difference is, you can see after this one, before the footer, they have this part here. It's called FAB. Okay, so after the card, just put it here, save it. Now go back to the browser. So just click on this. So if nothing happens, just click, reload, go, click, right? So here it is. This is the one we are working on, right? And you can see it brings in Twitter. Right now it's not connected. If you click, it is just going to print it in the console. That's all, nothing else. So one thing it is important for us to understand here, how did it come here, right? So if you go to the page, it says IonFab, it's vertical on the top, horizontal end. So it's on the end most here, okay? And it is fixed. Otherwise, if you don't do this, it will be scrolling with the page. You can just scroll, it will keep on scrolling, right? If you don't have the IonFab, if this is not there, IonFab is not there, it will be scrolling. So let's try. Let's try to just remove this. Okay, so if I've done this, then I'm just going to reload. Go here, go to any one of them. You see, it is somewhere here. It can scroll with the page, correct? Right now we don't have many elements to scroll, but you see the location. So if you want to fix it with the page in a location, then you have to issue this IonFab, okay? And then here you have options like, there is one button, which is just saying it's a share social, that is the button icon there. And then if you click on it, you have a list, right? This is a list. And all of them is mentioned here. So you have Facebook, you have Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, so all this. If you click on them, you will see it has all of them. Facebook, whatever. Okay. Just watch out the order in which it is coming, and when you click, it is going to call the Open Social. Open Social is here, and it's just going to print in the console. Nothing else. It's not calling anything, just printing in the console. The next one we are going to do is about grid. The use of grid is mainly to customize our layout. Okay, so let's go and try to do it. This is step number 11. Go in, source, app, pages, details. So let's go back to our code here. Let's close all of them here. Okay, just want to keep one of them. So this is the file, right? Similarly, you can go here. We are working on the details.page.html, right? So if you go and compare this, here we have what is called Ion grid, which we don't have before. Okay, so if you scroll up, you will find description, then you have the chip, right? Here you are having what is called as a grid. Inside the grid, you have your chip, right? Chip is inside the grid. So basically, I'm just going to copy this 3 lines here and put them here, right? And then that should be closing of the grid, right? As well as the rows and the columns, right? So once you have done this, just save this. Go back to the browser, reload. Again, this we did it in the details page, right? So if you go in here, okay, and then yeah, so we did it here. This is basically a grid setup. You don't see much changes here, but basically if you look on your devices, if you run it on your device, you will see there are changes. The way they are structured is slightly different. Okay, so the only thing about grid in the case of Ionic, it's a flexbox. The flexbox is a one-dimensional one. Either you work on row or you work on column at any time, at any point of time, either row or column. But the CSS grid layout, you can work both on the row and the column at the same time. It is two-dimensional, right? So you can change the layout. Let's try to just understand the layout here. So it says here, this is row and there's a column. It mentions the size. There's a small size, there's a medium size, and then each of those chips are brought in here, okay? So you can have all these columns and the sizes could be mentioned here. So let's move on. The next one we are going to work is called icons, right? Let's try to add some icons in our page. So here we are at step number 12. So we are going to do it in the regions page. Let's go to regions, open our notepad here, regions.page.html, right? And then if you go here, open our own code, go here, go to regions.page.html. So this is the regions page, right? Let's try to see how the regions appear before we go there. So if you click on this, this is the region right now. So let's try to make some changes here. So it's a very minor change, nothing much. So here, this is the icon. Sorry. So let's go. Let's copy this line here. And we come in. Here is the code. Just before the name, okay, you're going to add in the icon. So once it is done, go back to the page, reload it, go to regions, you see there are some icons here. Okay, so that's the idea. How does it get these icons basically? Right, so if I go to the code, you see it says region.icon and then it says start. Start means it should be at the starting of the page. Okay, so this is why it is appearing on the left here. Otherwise, it would have been on the other side. It depends on how you set it up. And then here, region.icon, if you go to the region JSON file, regions JSON file, there's an icon. See, icon home. This is why you got an home icon here. right? And then you see icon rows. That's why something like this and so on. So this is basically, it's a fixed set of images. From there it is getting all this. Okay. Let's move on. We can do the same thing also for the tour types page. So let's go and check the book code. Here, go to the tour types page. Open your browser, your notepad. Only in the HTML page, okay? Just copy the HTML here. Similar, open up your own code, go to tour types, and then load in the HTML page, right? There's one simple sentence we need to add on, which is icon 1. This is the icon just before this line here. Okay, that's it. Go back to the browser, go to the icon, tour types, just reload if in case you get this, and you have all these icons here. So we have seen the next one, what is called as icons. So let's move on and then proceed with how to create images. Right? Let's do some images right now. So in order to do some images, we are going to work on the same details page. Okay, let's go to the details page. This is the page we are working on. Let me go to the book page as well. I need to go into step number 13. Source, app, pages, details. Open this here. So I'm going to open up. This is the details page. Right now I'm going to add some images here. Okay. So how to add some image. Before then, let's see a details page. Let's click on any one of them. Right. This is a details page right now. You can see the top details. And this is actually an ID. So right now let's add some image to see how does it differ. So here is the image. Slightly above the description, right, with the HR horizontal ruler. So let me just put in here and then save it. If I go back to that page now, let's reload, go to tour types. Okay, let's go to regions. Okay, something else, there's some issue out here. So let's see what is the issue behind, right? So here I have added an image to the details page. Right, so this is just an image. There is an HR. So let's go back, regions, click again, click this, right? Going here, click. So here you see it brings in the figure here. Right, so if I go back here, let's say hiking tours, for example, 7 mountains, some image is being loaded right now. Okay, these images are loaded because of this line here, and he is actually referring to an image which is already provided. Okay, so this is how you get it. There's one thing interesting here. In case the image was not there, right, if the image does not exist, you might get some errors. Okay, to solve that problem, what you could do, you can also add what is called ion error, right? So you can go here, let's do like this, right? Okay, there are some quotation issues. I was just copy pasting it. Okay, so now I have to just take this out. If I do it like this, okay, let's see, is there an error here? It says load default does not exist, right? So I'm trying to call something, but that is not there. So I can go into the default pages and add this method here, right? And then see, it gives me some other error here. Module failed, unexpected token, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's try to go in. Right here, or okay, so here it is saying event is implicit, has any type, same error. So just go and change this. Okay, now this is done. So the idea behind this, what we did actually right now, right? So if I click on this, If suppose there was no image, then it would have just brought in a default image. That is the idea here. Okay. So we have done some small changes here to the code just to show in case there was an issue of the image does not exist. Let's move on and continue to do some inputs. Right? If you want to get some user input, you can do that. Right? User input you can get as text, passwords, you can get email address, whatever. So let's go to the book code. This is in step number 14. Source app pages. We are going to the request page. Okay, request. So let's open it up here. Let's close all of them. Right, except one. I'm just giving one. So here, this is a request page. So here you have the request page. Let's close all of them. Right. Let's try to load the request page here from here as well. This is our own code. We need the request page.html. We also need the request page.ts file. Okay, I've got them here. So let's try to make some changes. So if you look at here, we have added some extra lines here. In the TS file, in the send method, we are just adding something here. In the HTML, let's open the HTML. Here we have added some kind of fields to get user input. Okay, so here, let's say we come down here, copy paste here. One thing important, this list is not there. So if I actually go in, it does not show me an error, HTML error, but it's not really showing me. So let's say I save this. Let's see, it says that Ion list closing is unexpected. Okay, because there's no opening tag, but there's a closing tag. So you are expected to have opening tag here, right? Then this should be fine. So if I go in to any one of them, we did add in the request page, right? So let's go in, click options, click request. Okay. So here you have first name, last name, you can enter email address and so on. So these are user entries. You can enter them. See, you can enter them. So this is the idea here. All right. Let's move on, continue. We have seen how to use inputs. Let's see some listing as well. By the way, if you enter any user input, there should be some validation, which we are not doing it right now, but maybe in a later session, you need to do how to validate user inputs as well. Okay. Let's do some listing right now. For list, we are going to go into the list page. Okay. Let's open it up here. We are going to use the list page.html. Okay, let me close others except the list page only. So here is the list page. So let's go to our code. Go in here, go to the list, and then list.page.html. Here is the one. So in here, right, basically you have it in the list here, right? So is there any big difference? Here is just a list. This is coming from, I should have taken the 15th one, not 14. So let's go to 6. Let's check pages, list, and let's see, this is the list page. Yeah, here is the list. Okay, so we are here, and then in here there are some changes to this code which is existing here. So let me just copy the whole thing from here. Okay. So just save it. So right now I have done it in a list page, right? Okay, so this is the list, you see. Right, what happened? I went here, I just added here, there is tour.image, and then I'd say provide me some durations. So you'll see there's a duration here. There's no image coming up right now, okay? Because that part is not done yet, right? So that's why. Right, so let's keep going, and then you can also do the same, and let's check the list.ts as well. list.ts. Here is the page. Let's check our own TS as well. So let's see, just to make sure everything is in same order. So you have selection, category, criteria, you have all this. This is just no big difference between them. And then you have what is called as a request page. So this is the request page. Let's try to get the request page. Let's go to pages, go to request, and then request.page.html. This is my request page, and let's try to get the request page from the section 15. Here's the request page. Okay, so this is the request page here. Here again, you can see they have added a list here, which is basically here. There's item group and so on. So let's try to change it a little bit. I'll copy this. Make sure when you override the right spots. Okay. So this is under request. If I go down here, reload the page, and go to regions, see now the images have appeared. So let's say I'm choosing something, go here, request, right? So here you see there's your contact information, your emails, and so on. This part here, the contact information, is something we did add just now, right? See, this is the one. It's an item divider, so it is in a group. You group them. You have a divider and you have the items. Okay, so you can see at the top, you just give them some kind of title that cannot be edited, and then the text boxes to enter or the text. Similar desired schedule here, which is also something we have just now added, which is coming under this. So because of this divider, you have these lines here. Okay, otherwise you won't have those lines. So that just now we have seen what is called listing. We have used menus here. So just for you to know, let me explain the menu part here. If I go down to, let's say our own code, for example. So this is our code. Go to app.component.html. This is the one. So you see we are using menu, right? And it says menu toggle auto hide is false. So menu will be there all the time. It's hiding up, and the menu has content. It has a footer, right? You can also have content is there, the mention here, and it has a footer here. Okay. So these are various parts. So we have seen in this video, we have seen few things right now. We started with how to have a checkbox. We have seen what is called as a chip, how to use it, date picker, floating action button, grid, icons, images, input, lists, and we also used menu, right? That's all for now. We'll continue in the next session.